What is up, my friends, and how's it going? And welcome back to the 8th episode of our Let's Play series as the Seleucids with your fellow comrade Summary. Let's go ahead and turn off the notifications, and before we hop into the episode, we are going to cover what transpired during the previous episode. And during the previous episode, we pretty much managed to annex all of our satrapies in the east, as well as we managed to annex Lydia over here in Galatia, Cappadocia and Asia. We declared war against Pergamon after we declared war against Rhodos after having handed them Pergamon, and by doing so we managed to get a maximum level to Pergamon. We are now in complete control of Asia, which is one of the best economic provinces in the game. As you can see, we're currently still building up Asia, and even so it is just 6,000 denarii behind Egyptos, guys, so it's extremely powerful. Of course, Egyptos has a lot of leveling up to do. As you can see, we have four slots that we could potentially level up, and each of them are costing me about 7 a surplus, so it will take a long time before I can get Egyptos up to its full potential. But as you can see over here with Asia, using the strategy of transferring provinces over and keeping Asia as divided as possible, I was able to maximize the growth rate. Of course, we only have Pessinus, the final building slot, which we will need to upgrade, and we will get that once we hit a population surplus of 7. Of course, that will take a lot of time, but I'm not too concerned, because the only thing I will be building over here in this slot is another temple of Hephaestus, which gives an increment to my wealth from industry by 40%. Apart from that, we also initiated a war against the Bactrians in the east. We managed to defeat 2 armies, one on the outskirts of Nisa and the other one on the outskirts of Atrocana, that is making its way back to the capital. We also managed to capture the settlement of Marv, which is great. The idea is to subjugate Baktria right now and to subjugate the Mauryans in this episode. Apart from that, we will also be trying to get a foothold in the Hellenic mainland. We have been at war with Sparta since almost the start of the campaign, so we are going to try to launch an invasion of Sparta, but not before we actually take over the island of Crete from Knossos, and then we are eventually also going to try to take over Athens, thereby consolidating our control over the province of Hellas. This would allow us to, in the future, declare a 2-front war against the Macedonians, from which we can attack them from the south through Hellas, and of course from the east through Nicomedia across the Bosphorus Straits. That being said and done, the reason why I'm going to go ahead and subjugate Baktria as well as the Mauryan faction is because I did conduct a YouTube community poll in which, although the results were very close, the subjugation option kind of won out in the end. I gave pretty much two options for the eastern question, whether I should outright annex all of these provinces for myself or whether I should subjugate the Bactrians and the Mauryans, and of course the latter one, so I will be going ahead and subjugating the Bactrians. That being said and done, let us continue our war against the Bactrians. What we're gonna do is we're gonna move our spy into this area so that we can get a line of sight. We have a couple of armies over here. We have Stratos 6 Spartacos, we also have Stratos 7 Bactrianos, and we have Stratos 5 Mesopotamian. Most of them are almost completely replenished, so that is of course going to be a great news. But of course, we also even have Stratos 8 Persicos making its way towards Zuzia. So currently we are up against 4 Bactrian armies, and we have 4 Seleucid armies in the region. So things are looking really good. Meanwhile, all the way in the west, our armies over here, we're busy recruiting up as many troops as we possibly can. We're trying to fill up some of these armies that are half strength. Meanwhile, we have Stratos 1 Seleucidon as well as Stratos 3 Syriakos. They have been completely built up with those new Syrian war elephants, so we are going to go ahead and move them towards Ephesus, because eventually we want to go ahead and launch our naval invasion of Hieropytna, take it away from the Cretians, and then we are going to move towards Sparta. Thankfully, the Spartan armies are chilling over here at Thermopylae, or historically the area of Thermopylae. What they do not know is that we are going to be launching an invasion from the sea and pretty much take out Sparta. Apart from that, let's have a look at the politics before we jump into anything. Politics wise, we're looking quite fine. We can go ahead and educate some characters, so let's actually do that, because education is super important to get high level characters. As soon as they come of age, we're going to hide the disease just to mitigate the confusion from a lot of characters. Meanwhile, we can marry off some characters as well, so that we can get pure born children instead of bastards. And apart from that, we're going to take a quick look at our provinces. We recently acquired the settlement of Marv. We dismantled all of the buildings. We're going to build it up with temples. And as you can see, our economy is looking really good, guys. We're making 36,000 denarii per turn. Our taxation rate is on medium. Of course, if you compare Asia and Egyptos, Asia, even though it's not completely developed, is only 6,000 denarii behind Egyptos in terms of raw revenue per turn. So right now we have a lot of funds, so our priority obviously is going to be improving our economic provinces. And as you can see, we don't have any further improvements we can do in either of our economic provinces, which takes us to our next priority, which is the food province. Bithynia at Pontus is looking good. Everything is that needs to be built is being built. I do not want to upgrade these settlements right here because they consume food, which would then decrease the food generation output of that province. The same goes for Mesopotamia. So Mesopotamia is making a decent amount of food as well. Everything is upgraded. And so the next thing I could focus on is, of course, my military buildings. So let's go ahead and try to improve my military settlements. And as far as that's concerned, we even have Libya as a military recruitment province. And finally, we have Parthia itself. Parthia is completely being built up. So the next thing we want to do is focus on all of our other buildings, mainly focus on temples because they will improve your public order, focus on any of the other relevant buildings, of course. And with that, we have kind of depleted our entire treasury. There are a lot more buildings that we can upgrade, but we are going to be able to accumulate wealth because we are generating a lot of income per turn, as you can see. Meanwhile, every click of a building is not going to be an instantaneous expenditure of money. So technically, let's say I'm spending 3,333 denarii to get this temple. It's going to take me 10 turns to build that temple, which means for the next 10 turns, I really don't have to worry about upgrading the slot. So technically, this value 3,333 can be divided by 10. So it's kind of like 333 denarii per turn for the next 10 turns. So eventually what will end up happening is that I will get ahead of the curve with my economy, with the money that I gather up, because every turn, so for example in the next turn I get another 36,000 denarii. I don't have to spend it, from what I can tell, in the province of Hayastan. I might be able to upgrade some of these main settlement buildings, but I don't have to focus on the buildings that are already in the process of being upgraded, similar to what's happening in Asia right now. Like all of the buildings that can be upgraded are currently being upgraded, so I don't need to sink any money into Asia. So eventually that's what we're going to be gunning for. We're going to try to basically upgrade all of our settlements as maximum as possible. And speaking of upgrading our settlements, of course we are very close to unlocking the next settlement slot in Alexandria. In the next turn we should have that 7 building slot progress, which means we can upgrade the settlement of Alexandria and finally get that building in Alexandria, which will further improve our economy. Now that we're taking a look at that, we're taking a look at our politics. Our political parties are very, very loyal towards us. They don't actually hate us at all. Alright, sorry about that. My game kind of crashed, so I had to restart the game, and currently there are a lot of people working in my house, so there are a lot of interruptions. I do sincerely apologize for that. However, we were discussing about the politics, and the political parties seem to be very loyal, so there's nothing much I have to do there. My influence is looking great. Everything seems to be fine over there. So the only thing left to discuss is our planned, invasion of Bactria. Keep in mind, we do want to eventually subjugate the Bactrians, and we would want them to have both of their military buildings, their normal barracks, as well as their stables, so that we can recruit a lot of units from the Bactrians and get full access to their roster. However, over here, as you can see, this is why spies come in so handy, is because you can pretty much get a line of sight of what's going on in the entirety of their realm. They might even have an army over here in Eucratidea. There you go. They do not have an army at Capecine, which means Capecine is kind of vulnerable. I could send out this army down south to attack Capecine. Meanwhile, I could also attack Amul. I could move this army, further to the east, protect Marv, while move this army to attack Amul. But the drawback of that is that we have a full Bactrian stack over here with an elephant unit, and we have yet another Bactrian stack over here. And this Bactrian stack can kind of reach Amul, so it's gonna be a little bit risky. I will have to, even after I conquer Amul, I will take some minor casualties, and then I will have to fend off 2 full stacks of Bactrians, and maybe even this army can make a progress towards Amul. But what we did discuss in the previous episode is just how important Baktria is as a strategic city. So if we hold Baktria, then we have a really good chance of trapping all of these Bactrian armies over here. We will be able to easily invade into other parts of Bactria. So that is exactly what I'm going to go for. So in order to do that, I'm going to start moving Stratos 6 Spartacus closer to the Bactrian border. It is spring, which means in the next turn I should still be able to reach Bactria. So what we are going to do over here, we're going to go through the passes, so that the enemy doesn't have any other way to reach us. Of course, this army could potentially reach us, but if they do decide to do that, it's pretty much their funeral, because I will be able to defeat them quite decisively. They don't have a really good army composition, so I really don't mind if they actually venture forth and try to beat me. And if they do end up doing that, I'm just simply going to retreat a little bit so that I end up back in my territory. And then if they keep pushing that attack, then I'm going to attack them. I should be able to almost destroy the army. I will be fully replenished, and then I can push on in the next turn and then move towards Capecine. If I choose to do so, I might even reinforce Bactria, but for now I have 2 armies poised to attack Bactria. So unless they reinforce the city with some more armies, which I don't think they might. I mean, they do have an army over here that can reinforce. Meanwhile, the army at Marakanda is not close enough. The army at Bukhara is even further away, so we might be able to take Bactria from the Bactrians. And to make matters even better, we have Stratos 8 Persicos right on the heels of our major offensive. However, that being said and done, I'm going to go ahead and end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn. Alright, here we are in the end turn. The army from Bactria has kind of sallied forth. The other army that we have left depleted is busy besieging Marv, which means we have quite a fight on our hands. We have 2 armies to face off over here. They are extremely melee heavy, but I think we have the advantage. They will have the initiative this time, which means they have to kind of push into us, which means we will have a lot easier time setting up our battlefield. So let's just quick save over here, hop into the battle, and I will see you guys there. Alright guys, welcome to the battle, and as you can see, we are in the process of arranging our front lines into that oblique order in which I will be turning about. Of course, the Bactrians have attacked me right outside the settlement of Marv. They're moving their army up, but that's not going to be too much of a problem. We do have a superior army, in my opinion. Of course, we are going to be taking a quick look in the game at the troops that they have. They have some Usinoid type infantry, as well as they have a lot of hoplites. No real pikemen as far as I can tell, so definitely we have the frontline advantage. Apart from that, the only main problem is that they do have access to some horse archers, as you can see over here. Really good looking unit, and of course they are trying to move towards my own army. In our own army, of course, we do have our Indian elephants still, and behind them we do have our Hippeus Agematos. Typical formation, as you can tell. We do have our Usinoi as well as our Peltaste on the flanks as support troops that will eventually try to assist our front lines. But as you can tell over here, it's just a beautiful pike formation, just going completely around. And of course, we are starting to take some missile fire from some of the Bactrian missile units. So the idea over here is to try to return that fire. As of now, We do have some of these very light missile cavalry and their javelin cavalry, as well as horse archer cavalry. So I'm okay with exchanging that javelin fire against javelin cavalry, because cavalry takes a lot of damage from javelins. As you can tell, they're already almost down to 50% strength. And meanwhile, on the left flank we have elephants that manage to charge the flanks of my front line. However, we have our elephants that have quickly gotten into the fray. And seeing the situation, I am moving up my infantry on that left flank to kind of prevent a total encirclement on my left flank. Meanwhile, the Jav-Cav has been dispatched off quite efficiently, but they will return to the battle, and we're still being a little bit passive over here with our right flank cavalry, because we are trying to make sure that, you know, we can approach the fight when they are completely depleted with their javelins, and I think they have. So I have issued the order for us to charge, but they are going to try to run away, and a little bit of cat and mouse happening over there on the right flank. Meanwhile, on the left flank, we did charge into some of these units. However, we are going to keep moving our elephants across, because we want to ensure that our elephants don't get bogged down, because a lot of these Bactrian units actually have a lot of bonus versus their elephants. As you can see, 34 bonus versus elephants means they can really dish out some punishment to elephant units. We have our Uzenoi, our Peltaste over here, trying to throw javelins into the unshielded side, and this is a really good strategy, guys, because you'll be doing a lot more damage by throwing your javelins into the unshielded side, and there you have it. Immediately they are going to retreat, and quickly I try to turn off the fire at will to kind of prevent our elephants from taking any friendly fire. However, it happens a bit too late. Meanwhile, over here we can see some cavalry on the left flank trying to charge in, so we're going to move our elephants as well as our Hetaroi or Hippeus Agamatos to deal with that cavalry, and very quickly, look at that combination attack. It's going to completely decimate them, and just like that they are going to completely rout. On the right flank, a lot has happened. Of course, our elephants have gone all the way around, and of course our cavalry is also trying to make that charge. Our general himself going to charge into the backs of these units. They're going to do some damage, not too much, and the idea over here is to try to keep our flanks really mobile as possible, which is why that general skill of you know, army movement speed is very, very important. You really want to keep micromanaging your units as effectively as possible, your cavalry units especially, because that's how you're going to be able to end battles quickly. That's how you're going to be decisive about your battles. So make sure that, you know, you're moving your units as much as you can. As you can tell over here, we are trying to move our units. We see a cavalry unit charging in. It is a horse archer unit. They do still have some munitions left, which is rather unfortunate. It is a little bit hard to tell how much munitions a cavalry unit has in Rome 2 Total War. However, in newer Total War titles, it is a lot easier to tell how much ammunition they have. And I basically chase around this cavalry for a while, and I realize I'm not getting anywhere, and therefore I just get back into the battle. However, as you can tell, the movement speed of a cavalry is very, very decent. We were just about to catch up, but I decided, you know, it's time to just withdraw from that situation. Meanwhile, some of the hoplites have managed to get around us, and you might notice a change in the visuals over here, a lot more vibrant, you know, geographical terrain and so forth. And that is because I'm actually using a combination of a new terrain mod with my original, you know, compilation of my graphic mods, which are basically, you know, Orbis Terrarum and a few others. However, the new mod I'm using is Parabellum, which is quite nice, and it's called Parabellum Weather, but you have to kind of adjust it in order to be compatible with the other submods that I use. So meanwhile, a very good situation happening over here. You can see our Cretan archers shooting into the back of these hoplites, and even though they are facing off against a Peltast unit, and I have dealt quite a bit of damage against my Peltast unit, they are getting destroyed really by a lot of these missiles. Meanwhile, my elephants and horse men on the right flank have returned into the fighting, and unfortunately we have been rear charged. Not much happening on that left flank. Of course, we're just trying to wipe out some units. Meanwhile, I don't really care when an cavalry unit tries to charge my elephant units, because elephants are very good at soaking up the damage from a charge. Meanwhile, charging them with our own cavalry will absolutely decimate them, as you can tell. Currently they have 59, 58 units, but they will drop like flies, as you can see. 43, which means soon enough they're going to be completely shattered. And of course, a secondary cavalry charge is going to be even more devastating. Meanwhile, on that right flank, we're managing to kind of try to push as much as we can, try to get an advantage over here in this situation. We have some of hoplites trying to move about a little bit weirdly, so we're turned about trying to face them. And this battle is taking a bit longer than I would like, and that's because of the position, of course. However, that's why I am frankly trying to find openings and charge into the main front line. Try to give myself a little bit of an advantage, numerically speaking, because as of now we have dealt with their general. He's kind of retreating, and I don't know if we actually ended up killing him or not. However, you know, that should mean that for the most part the entirety of the Bactrian army should have a significant morale penalty, and that's pretty much what we are going to try to do. We're going to try to mass rout them, and as you can see, they are going to completely shatter as an army. The rout begins, and of course I am going to go ahead and chase down as many units as I can. Keep in mind we are 4 for 4 in terms of army strengths, and we have just dealt with one of the Bactrian armies, which means currently speaking we have a numerical superiority. We have 4 armies versus their 3. We started out this war at a disadvantage. We were almost outnumbered 2 to 1. The Bactrians had 6 armies, meanwhile we had 3 armies. But by fighting 3 very good engagements, 2 in the previous episode, and of course this engagement right over here, you can see that we have managed to flip the script on his head, which means the invasion of the Bactrian heartland is going to be a lot more easier in the turns to come. Alright, with that we managed to beat another Bactrian army, so that's 3 for 3. They are significantly depleted. We managed to kill off one of their armies. We're going to go ahead, liberate all the captives, because we want them to be a little bit friendly towards us when we do eventually subjugate them. But what this means is that we might have an opening in the next turn to attack the Bactrians quite easily. Alright, welcome to the next turn. A character has leveled up. Child is born. Of course, some more characters have leveled up, so let's take a quick look at all of our characters. We want to focus on, of course, our assassination as well as sabotage army capabilities. Meanwhile, this army has leveled up, so let's go ahead, give him some general skills as well as some army traditions as well. So things are looking good over here. We could potentially attack Baktria. They do have an army over there, but we have 3 armies that can converge onto the settlement of Baktria itself. That should give us a huge advantage. Meanwhile, these 2 armies could potentially attack Marv if we are not able to reach the settlement, so we are going to move a little bit ahead, and hopefully we should be able to kind of replenish in this turn if we go into the settlement. We want to take a very quick look to see our population class. Population class is looking good, so we are gonna deploy into the settlement. Hopefully we will be able to replenish. We could also move down south over here and try to take out Capucine, so that's a good thing. So let's go ahead, take out Capucine. We're gonna peacefully occupy it. Excellent. And then we are going to take a look at some of the other buildings that the Bactrians have, and of course they do not have stables anywhere, so we are going to go ahead and convert this into a stables. We can, so that is fantastic. We can convert this into a cattle pens, I think, or even this 3 food is pretty decent. Eventually we're going to give Capucine back into the control of the Bactrians. We can also upgrade all of our cavalry to that final 3rd level, which gives them the maximum speed. The speed of 8 is very decent, which means they will be able to catch up to some of the faster moving cavalry units in the game. Apart from that, we're going to take a very quick look at all of our settlements. We can go ahead and upgrade them, so let's actually do that. And there we have it. Alexandria is upgraded. So over here what we want to focus on industrial building as well. So we're gonna make that bricklayer. Gonna keep upgrading all of these buildings, and yes, we should be able to upgrade just a little bit more. We're out of money for now. Quick look at our politics. Politics seems to be fine. All of our factions fairly loyal towards us. Meanwhile, some characters are ready to be married, but we don't have the funds to do so, so we will get them married off in the next turn. What we are going to focus on is, of course, in the western half, we're going to try to keep pushing towards Ephesus, because we really want to begin our invasion of the Hellenic mainland within this episode itself. So things are looking to be going pretty smoothly, and I'm pretty happy with that. Apart from that, I don't think there's much else to do in this turn. We really want to see what the Bactrians will be up to. They might actually end up attacking us with this army as well, which is kind of nice, because if they do end up doing that, then we will have a significant advantage. Currently the Bactrians are down to 3 armies, whereas we have 4 armies in the region. So we started out at 3 armies versus 6, and currently we have 4 armies versus 3. So right now we have the numerical superiority, which means the Bactrians are going to be on the back foot for the rest of this war if we play our cards right. However, that being said and done, let's go ahead and end the turn. There's nothing much else left to do in this turn, and I will see you all in the next turn. Apart from that, I'm not going to be recruiting any more Cretan mercenary archers, and that is because, and in fact we're going to disband these ones. That's because they're extremely expensive, and also the Bactrians kind of have, Cretan settler archers, which are similar to the Cretan mercenary archers, and they do have better melee capabilities. However, they have lower armor value, from what I have researched. So I will be going for those Cretan settlers, because they're going to be a lot more easier to recruit from the Bactrians than, of course, going for, or waiting for Cretan mercenary archers to keep, appearing in our mercenary pool. Alright, welcome to the next turn. Research has completed, which is great news. Daughter has come of age, also good news. Making a little bit more money, so we can go ahead and start focusing on our economic buildings. Of course, we want to maximize them as much as we possibly can, and then we want to focus on some of the other buildings that we can, such as our food buildings. We have a lot of buildings that are going to be upgradable really shortly, but we are going to hold on to our economy just for a little bit. Meanwhile, over here in the south, we're going to focus on our war against the Bactrians. They currently moved around their armies a little bit. They're in the process of recruiting new armies, so we have to kind of pay attention to what's going on up here. So we have an army up here in the north, which we can pretty much destroy, which is kind of what I'm inclined to do. Just have a quick look to see what's going on over here. So things are looking good over there. Wonder if I can actually attack Baktria from Capacine, which is what I'm gonna do. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna move this army into the strategic choke point over here, and then perhaps I will be even able to attack this army outside the settlement of Baktria, significantly weaken their garrison, and push an offensive into them in the next turn. However, that being said and done, I think it is time to even attack Amul. What we are going to do is we're going to go ahead, attack this army, so that it kind of moves slightly away from us. I'm pretty happy with that. Meanwhile, this army cannot reach Marv's. Marv is going to be very low on its garrison. This army could potentially attack over there, so let's go ahead, attack with that army. Fantastic, I'm happy with that. So we've taken out that army, we wiped it out. We go ahead and slave all of the captives. We have leveled up, which means we can get some abilities as well. So offensive is going really nicely, guys. What we want to do also is to kind of try to, maybe we can even take out this army. I'm not entirely sure if this army can reach Marv. That's a little bit of a risk, and it's a risk I'm willing to take. So we can just simply go ahead and attack Amul. So of course that battle is not going to look favorable to us. However, if we get a second army up there, we should have a decent auto resolve. 69, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's go ahead and just peacefully occupy Amul. We should have that population class to replenish at Amul. Of course, this army can reach Amul. Maybe this army is pretty far off. he might actually be able to reach Marv. So let's actually try to sabotage this army. And we have failed in that sabotage, sorry. So we can actually try to sabotage this army maybe, hopefully. And we have failed in that, so maybe this army could reach all the way to Marv, and that would be problematic. But we're gonna have to wait and see how that pans out. Meanwhile, we can go ahead, convert some of these buildings, some of these temples, and we are going to try our level best to completely replenish over here. We're going to move away from the enemy, and we're going to go into that patrol stance so that we replenish just a little bit faster. And should we replenish at a good rate, we should be able to then push our offensive into Transoxiana, which will make things a lot more easier. However, if this army does decide to go attack Baktria, you know, in the next turn I will be able to take it back as well. And what this does is that it actually exposes their capital, so I'm not too concerned of you know, kind of leaving this for open or for grabs. It's a pretty good strategy, and it might pay out in the future depending on what the Bactrians actually end up doing. So let's go ahead, get some abilities for these characters since they have leveled up. Meanwhile, we have a couple of units over here that we can transfer over. So this army doesn't have cavalry units, as well as this army doesn't have cavalry units. What we want to do over here is build at least 6 of the pikemen, and we want to build at least 3 and 3. So we need to build 6 of the cavalry as well. So there we go. So 6 cavalry. We should be able to transfer off everything to each other, and of course we also want to build 2 more elephant units. So let's actually deploy this over here. Go ahead, get 6 cavalry, and we can get 2 elephants. We can pretty much just wait until the next turn, since we don't have to spend the money up front. And meanwhile, we're going to take a look at our dignitaries. Some of them are not deployed, so we're going to go ahead and deploy them so that they help with the cultural conversion over here. We're going to upgrade Augila, get them to that maximum level. Of course, Kyrie and Augila looking really, really good and defensible. As far as our technology is concerned, as you can tell, we are almost done with the construction technology, which is absolutely great. What we are also going to focus on is we're going to see any provinces with low public order, and we are going to upgrade their settlements as well. Meanwhile, over here we can actually build another temple, so let's go ahead and do that. Happy with upgrading even that fishing port. We've used up all our money. I know I said I want to preserve some of that money, but I'm totally fine preserving it, you know, completely using it rather, so that I can upgrade my empire as quickly as I possibly can. However, that being said and done, politics wise we're looking quite fine. We might be able to marry off a character, so let's go ahead and do that right away. And of course, you know, with that being done, there's nothing much else left to do in this turn, so we're gonna go ahead, end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn. Alright, welcome to the next turn. We're gonna go ahead and hunt the pirates. Some of the characters have leveled up, children have been born, so we are gonna keep moving our 2 armies over here into the Aegean Sea, and then we are going to use our fleet to help them ferry across into Hierapitna, and then try to conquer the settlement from the Knossos faction. Meanwhile, over here in the east in Baktria, as you can see, we have a bunch of armies over here close by. They are threatening us over here. This army could potentially even reinforce them, and that would make the fight really, really impossible to deal with. So what I am going to do for now is I am going to go ahead and deploy in a fortified stance, and gonna try my level best to sabotage this army. So let's go ahead and sabotage this army. And there we go, that's a successful sabotage. So pretty much these 2 armies are going to attack me, and I'm pretty happy with that. Meanwhile, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this army towards Baktria. Going to move this spy towards Transoxiana, get a line of sight of what's going on over there. Nothing much really. I could keep pushing, and that's exactly what I'm going to do, because I will have pretty significant amount of troops in reserve. Meanwhile, take a quick look to see what is the population situation in Amul. It's not looking good, so I am actually going to move my army back down towards Marv so that I can continue to replenish. Meanwhile, quick look to see if my champion over here can be of any use in this army. Pretty much I want to level up this character as quickly as I can so that he gets even further replenishment rate. I'm going to push into Bukhara right now, and it's going to be a pretty easy auto-resolve. So let's go ahead, auto-resolve that one. Peacefully occupy the settlement so that we can replenish. Keep in mind it is Hellenic culture. Going to turn off the taxation over here and upgrade some of the buildings. That being said and done, we have another spy that's free. We can move him down towards Eucratidaea, since that is... The Bactrians only have 3 more settlements remaining. They have 3 or 2 armies and another 2 armies that are not fully built up, so things are looking great. What we can do in the next turn is we can even push our offensive and capture the settlement of Baktria. Of course, the most important engagement is going to be the engagement for this strategic pass. And if that comes to pass in the end turn, then of course I will be showcasing that battle without a doubt. Of course, over here we have some abilities that we can get. Fantastic. And yes, we're going to take a quick look at our politics once again. We can marry off some characters, so that's great. We're going to take a look if we can educate anyone, and we are able to educate some characters, so let's go ahead and educate that character over there. Apart from that, political party is looking quite loyal, so I'm pretty happy with that. We're going to take a very quick look to see our economic provinces first. Same thing, go through our food provinces. I'm pretty happy with that. I could technically upgrade the temple, but I have no need to do so, as currently we're getting a lot of public order in those provinces. And so now next up, what we want to do is we just basically want to upgrade everything else as possible. Keep in mind the 4th level of this outpost, which is a colony, is going to take a lot of money, so it's not worth doing it earlier on. Instead, you are better off focusing on smaller buildings over here. We can focus on, of course, the province of Syria, and with that we have used up all of our money yet again. But our economy is slowly but surely increasing. As you can see, Asia and Egyptos are almost neck to neck, 58,000 denarii and 57,000 denarii per turn respectively. Of course, Asia is still building up, and in the next turn should be pretty powerful, should even surpass the economic output of Egyptos. However, that being said and done, I think I'm done with this turn, so I'm going to go ahead, end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn. Alright, here we go in the end turn, and as you can see, the Bactrians have attacked us. They have some really good armies, but we do have that fortified position, so we're going to quick save, hop into the battle, and we should be at a significant advantage against the Bactrians over here, despite being heavily outnumbered, almost 2 to 1. Alright, welcome to the battle. We are holding the strategic pass in the Hindu Kush mountains between the settlements of Baktria and Eucratidaea. Capicene and Eucratidaea and Artacoana. It's actually a very important strategic holding, and of course we are in our fortified stance, which means we have the advantage of a fort. We are currently just deploying all of our pikemen to guard the opening of the fort. And of course we have our support troops outside the fortification in order to kind of try to encircle the enemy once they engage our front line of pikes. Of course, a Hellenic faction is going to have one of the strongest advantages in a fort battle, and that is because they have pikemen. Meanwhile, some of the enemy horse archers are making a move towards the fortifications. Thankfully, we have our Cretan archers in the back, and they're going to unleash a volley against them. And of course, we're going to try to dish out some casualties. As you can see, we have done fairly decent in that first volley. We've managed to take off quite a sizable chunk, and of course they are taking losses really quickly. They're down to 10 to 50% morale. 10% morale, completely wavering, and they are going to shatter really soon, which makes my focus on the next cavalry a priority. Meanwhile, the Bactrians do have their main army that is reinforcing from the east, as you can see over here. They are really moving in double time, moving really fast, which is good for us, which means that they will be tired by the time they get to our front lines. And of course, we have no fear of this cavalry charge into our pikemen. These guys are not going to be able to do much. And for some reason, my Cretan archers are actually attacking this unit. Meanwhile, I should really be focusing on their missile cavalry instead, and I think I kind of do that by moving up our Cretan archers a bit closer to their missile cavalry so that I can fire to the missile cavalry. So meanwhile, some of the other Cretan archers still firing at this unit, which isn't all that necessary because the pikemen should be enough to deal with them. We're going to have a look at what these Cretan archers are going to do. Meanwhile, some of the enemy cavalry is moving around the fort on our right flank, which means our support troops are in a bit of trouble. So we are moving simultaneously them behind, and we are moving our cavalry forward so that it takes minimum time to kind of move past each other. As you can see, elephants managed to soak up that charge. We're going to keep soaking up as much of the charge as we possibly can. Charge with our own cavalry. Of course, the charge is going to be a little bit less lackluster because of that, movement or that maneuver, which kind of prevented the momentum from pulling through, but they are on the retreat, which is good news. We're going to keep trying to chase them with our cavalry over here on the right flank, and by doing that we should be able to deal out some significant casualties. However, unfortunately, we are bogged down by the single cavalry unit, which is actually suffering quite decisively. They are going to try to maybe disengage from the situation, but we are going to keep moving our elephants across, deny this cavalry their charge. Meanwhile, we have moved one of our elephant units onto that right flank because the right flank needs some support. Meanwhile, a quick look at what is happening in the front lines. As you can see, no rail situation over here. Our pikemen are doing quite well, haven't taken any losses so far, managed to dispatch one of the enemy cavalry units, and of course we have quite a lot of enemy units slowly making their way towards us. And of course, using that Izuru Alexandros submod, you can see some of these models are really beautiful HD models, of course, and they are busy attacking our silver shield pikemen, looking really nice. Just having this battle over here, holding this opening, this narrow opening, they shouldn't be able to do much. Another thing you could possibly do is, since the enemy is so close to this wall, you can actually torch this wall, and when it explodes, it will actually deal a lot of damage to the units that are nearby, and I kind of don't do that in this battle, I think. However, that's one of the things you can possibly do, and you wouldn't want to do it with your pikemen because they're so busy engaging the enemy units. What you could do it with is your archers, once they have depleted all of their ammunitions, of course. And I think that's what I am trying to do right now. I think they have kind of depleted their ammunition, so I am trying to move my archers as close as possible so that they can burn that palisade. However, I don't think that's what I am doing, so it seems I am moving them behind, and I'm going to try to move across. Meanwhile, one cavalry unit did manage to get into the settlement. However, we do have some hoplites over here that's protecting the entry of the settlement, and these are none other than our Hyperphistae, very elite hoplite unit. So nothing much to worry about over here. This cavalry unit is going to lose pretty decisively. Meanwhile, on the right flank, we have major breakthrough. We've managed to dispatch all of the enemy cavalry. So now we're going to keep moving up our own cavalry as much as we possibly can to deal with the enemy skirmishers. These are spear skirmisher units, so you need to be a little bit careful, especially with your cavalry, but as long as you're using elephants, you have nothing to worry about. Meanwhile, on the left flank, we are slowly but surely maneuvering all of our troops to kind of encircle the enemy from that left flank. However, apart from that, nothing much else. The battle is pretty stagnant, as you can tell. A lot of pikemen just basically trying to pour into the gap over here. We've hardly taken any losses. Meanwhile, most of these units are pretty much winded, active, exhausted even. We are active as well, fresh for the most part. And of course, we are trying to move our elephants into a better position. Meanwhile, our cavalry, we are going to try to perform a charge with our general into that unit. And a quick look over here, these guys are going to try to run away. Our support troops have reached the flank, so we are going to let loose a volley of javelin into this enemy blob over here, which is going to be pretty good. Got rid of a couple of the cavalry units. Quick look at the elephants. We managed to pull them away because they're not going to be able to chase that unit, and we are going to focus on, of course, charging into the enemy front lines. But before that, let's take a look at some of these charges now. Even though this is a spear unit, as long as they are running away from us, they are going to be taking a lot of damage. So keep in mind, if you have one of these missile units, you definitely do not want to run away from cavalry. You're not going to win a cavalry engagement, but you're going to perform significantly worse if you run away from cavalry. Meanwhile, our elephants have charged into the rear of these units. Of course, our javelin men are throwing some of their javelins into the enemies, so we're going to pull our elephants behind, try to perform another charge. Meanwhile, since this unit is also retreating, we are going to be charging with another one of our Hippeus Agamatos. This is a purely archer unit, so they shouldn't be able to do anything at all. With that charge, we should be able to completely dispatch this unit. And a beautiful charge over here. It's surprising that they didn't take any knockback, and that is because I think of the difference in speed is not that great. However, they are losing decisively nonetheless, so that's good news. Meanwhile, our elephants are trying to charge. What we are going to do is we're going to try to prioritize getting rid of a couple of units over here so that we can free up our support units. That's exactly what we're trying to do. And of course, elephants are just so powerful at dealing out really quick casualties. As you can tell, we managed to almost break this unit, and it is broken, which means they are going to run past our own formations and get absolutely butchered in the process. We're going to see some crazy fighting. Meanwhile, pulling our elephants away from the battle so that we can perform yet another charge. And of course, these units, they're trying to escape, but they're not going to do quite well. We are in fact going to get rid of some of them. And of course, some more units are wavering over here. Elephants managed to push out. Cavalry is pretty much just focusing on trying to wipe out as many of the units as we possibly can. Meanwhile, our support troops are pushing into the enemy left flank as well. We have a lot of pikemen over here. Meanwhile, our own pikemen have taken a decent amount of casualties, not too much. We're still about 85% strong. So, the battle is looking pretty good over here. We're managing to hold that opening really well. And of course, over here, if I did go ahead and burn these two palisades, we would be dealing quite a lot of damage to the enemy units that are in and around. You could even take the risk of burning this palisade. It's a little bit danger close to your own pikemen, but of course you have a lot more enemy units hugging that palisade, which means once the palisade does come crashing down, you will be doing a lot of damage to the enemy units. So here we have it. We are finally relieving our left flank by charging our enemies into that left flank. Of course, some of our other cavalry units are now busy being routing out some of these retreating enemy units. We want to make sure that we kill off as much of the two Bactrian armies as we possibly can in this battle, so that we get yet another significant advantage over the Bactrians. And keep in mind, this is going to take the Bactrians down to 2 out of 3 armies remaining, which is quite good for us, which means we are going to have a 4 versus 2, which means we're going to have a 2:1 ratio as far as the overall strategic advantage of this war is concerned. Meanwhile, elephants still bogged down over here. We're going to pull them out of the engagement one last time. We've done quite well. We've kind of made sure that most of the enemy is kind of wavering or broken. However, we have to follow it up with our cavalry so that they do not return to the battlefield. If they do return to the battlefield, it's not the end of the world. It can actually be advantageous because, hunting them from the edges of the map is going to be a lot harder to do. However, if they do come to the center of the map, that makes chasing them down a lot easier. And we're just aligning our Theodorphori over here. We're going to charge into, the unshielded side of the enemy. And of course, now they're completely surrounded by our pikemen, and we're going to try to perform a final charge of elephants. It's not going to be that effective, of course, and that is because, of course, we are charging through our own troops. But nonetheless, it is going to create a significant psychological impact on the army over here, and we are typically going to just mass rout this entire army. As you can see, there are not that many units in the fight just yet, which means they should all break, but they're not breaking because they still have that numerical kind of buff. However, as more and more of these units that are retreating end up being killed, then you will have that entire army finally break. So for now, we're still in the fight, not much happening over here. But very soon, once we are able to kill a lot more of these units that are fleeing, then this unit should get the additional morale penalty from being massively outnumbered. And once they do that, then they will break and we will have won the battle. So as you can see, they are wavering, their formation has been breached. Elephant units have taken some losses because of course we are fighting in a narrow corridor, and of course there are a lot of spear units. However, for now the entire enemy army is broken. They're kind of trapped over here between our own units, not really able to get across, so we are going to massacre them, completely butcher them. Quick look at our elephants. They are going to rack up a lot of kills in this situation, as you can see, really increasing quickly, 400. And if I just go ahead and increase the speed, you'll see that that number just significantly rises up. And this is where elephants can completely annihilate. Of course, this elephant is wavering. The other elephant unit, meanwhile, 570 and rising. And just like that, we are able to completely eliminate almost 2 Bactrian armies in this battle. That being said and done with the battle. I will see you all back in the campaign. And with that, we have defeated 2 of the Bactrian armies. They only have 1 full stack remaining outside the settlement of Baktria. We're going to go ahead and release all the captives to improve our opinion. And in the next turn, we should be able to push 3 armies into Baktria and secure the city for ourselves. We will be even able to conquer Marakanda with the army stationed at Bukhara. Alright, welcome to the next turn. Some characters have increased in rank. Let's quickly take a look at them. We have a spy over here. We're gonna go ahead, level him up. And we have a dignitary down south over here. Can go for that. Research rate improvement. Meanwhile, we have yet another dignitary over here. We can go for that tax rate increase, as well as, of course, the industry increase. Meanwhile, over here we can get further decreases to our army upkeep cost, and we can get the campaign range movement as well. We can technically come out of our defensive stance, keep pushing into this army, should retreat closer towards Baktria, which is great news. We can go ahead and push towards Baktria, and we can even push with a secondary army towards Baktria. So it's pretty much game over for the Bactrians. We can go ahead and attack this army. 99%, pretty happy with that. That should help with the auto-resolve. Go ahead, liberate all of the captives. We can just easily auto-resolve this battle, 77%. I'm pretty happy with that. Peacefully occupy Baktria itself. And then maybe we can even, push towards Eucratidea. So we're going to move our armies a little bit closer towards Eucratidea. Go ahead, deploy that patrol stance. We have nothing to fear. Of course, they only have a final settlement over here. No armies really that can oppose us. And we have managed to handle this war extremely clinically. And what we are going to do is we're going to push towards Marakanda. Decent auto-resolve. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's go ahead, auto-resolve that. The Bactrians have lost Marakanda as well. We can go ahead and demolish these buildings. Upgrade the buildings that we need to upgrade. Go ahead, build a couple of temples over there. Fantastic. And then we are going to have a quick look to see what we can do with the rest of our income. Of course, temples are going to be expensive, so we are primarily going to focus on any of the cheaper building options. Of course, we can upgrade Samosata and Thapsakos, but I have no interest in doing so. I'm waiting to get that final building in Antiochia up and running. Meanwhile, over here we can improve these buildings as well, so let's go ahead and do that. Improve the buildings in Armenia as well. Okay, we can improve the one over here in Gabala. We can improve several of the buildings over here in Raga. We can even get that outpost up. Go ahead, select that, and with that we have used up all of our income for this turn. The war situation is looking really good in Baktria. We should be able to subjugate them soon enough, and then we are going to focus on the Mauryans. We do have Maka at 48% Hellenic culture, so we are going to move down south with all of our spies, since we no longer need our eyes up here in the north. So it's a good thing to keep moving our spies down south. We have another spy, don't know where exactly he is located. He's okay, so we have this spy as well. We can try to move him over there. Perfect. And finally, we want to focus, of course, on our naval invasion as well. So we are going to move our armies into the Aegean Sea, surely but surely. And then we are going to take our navy to support them so that they don't take attrition at sea. That's excellent. Meanwhile, we also need to recruit some of these cavalry units. Unfortunately, we don't have the funds in order to do so. So I'm just going to wait and recruit them up in the next turn and then transfer them over to all the various different armies that are located up here. Apart from that, there's nothing much else left to do in this turn. It's a pretty effective turn. We've managed to have a massive breakthrough against the Bactrians. As you can see on the campaign map, we're looking really powerful over here. All that remains is Eucratidaea, and we should easily be able to subjugate them in the next turn. Alright, welcome to the next turn, and of course we are going to attack Eucratidaea. Some of our armies have kind of replenished fairly well, fairly decently. But we don't have to send a single army, even though the auto-resolve is going to be amazing. We can keep throwing in as many armies as we possibly can to further increase our auto-resolve chances. And there we have it. We're going to auto-resolve 98%. Down goes the Bactrian, last of the Bactrian stronghold. We're going to go ahead and subjugate them. And there you have it, guys. We have managed to subjugate Baktria. What we are going to do is now we are going to try to establish friendly relationships with them. They are reliable, which means they are going to be very likely to maintain these friendly relationships with us. We're going to take some money from them, and then we are going to give them Baktria back. Go ahead and give it to Baktria. So I'm pretty happy with that. Meanwhile, we can move our armies over here. Quick look to see with the population class whether we have enough to keep replenishing. Over here, what we need to do is just basically keep our armies in a patrol stand so that they maximize on that replenishment. And since we are giving the Bactrians their main province back, more than likely we will be able to recruit some Cretan mercenary or Cretan settlers. So we might as well just go ahead and get rid of all the Cretan mercenaries. This should improve our economy quite a bit because these Cretan mercenary archers are pretty expensive. So let's just go ahead and get rid of all of these Cretan mercenary archers. Meanwhile, over here in Maracanda, we can go ahead, build that library as well as the sanitation building. Quick look at all of our provinces. Over here in Egyptos, we can go ahead and build the bricklayer. Meanwhile, Yehuda has leveled up, so we can build a temple over there. Apart from that, not much else left to do in this turn, so we are going to go ahead and end this turn. But before we do that, we will keep moving our armies towards Knossos. So we have one army over here, and we have the other army over here that's going to land as well. And pretty much after that, the turn is over, so I'm going to see you all in the next turn. Alright, welcome to the next turn. We have acculturation and we are going to select the subjugation option, which gives us +10 cultural conversion for the provinces we own. Children have been born, a minor state has been sold to a client state. We might be able to get those Cretan archers now, just one for now. But I'm pretty happy with that. We are going to soon, surely but you know, get a lot of our Cretan archers over here. And these Cretan archers, very cheap, 292. I mean, they are still rather expensive, but I'm happy with you know, the chance to get them, because every turn I will get a chance to recruit these units, and sometimes I might even get more units that I can recruit from these guys. Meanwhile, gonna take a look at some of the melee options that I have available from the Bactrian roster. I will need some really good swordsmen to replace my Usanoid Turuforai. Unfortunately, we have the Thorax swordsmen. These guys are pretty good, to be honest, but of course our silver shield swordsmen are going to be better, so there's no point really replacing these guys now. I'm just looking for something that is intermediate, like some of their anti-elephant infantry units. However, nothing much is going on over there, so what we are going to do is we're going to keep moving our spies down south towards the Mauryan kingdom, and we're going to get a line of sight. And this is why spies are so important, guys, because they help you understand exactly what's going on in the regions that you're dealing with. Meanwhile, quick look at all of our buildings really quickly to see what we can upgrade. We have a lot of treasury right now, so we could potentially upgrade you know, a lot of buildings. So let's go ahead, upgrade all of the temples that we can. We could upgrade these buildings, but I'm gonna hold off on them for just a couple of turns. Meanwhile, just upgrade all of our temples, because I think for the most part we have built almost everything that needs to be built. So things are looking really good. We can even upgrade the settlement in Phasis. Go ahead, keep upgrading over there. Before we spend any more money, we're going to check really quickly over here if we can marry off any characters. And if we can do that, then we are going to focus on that. So let's go ahead, marry off that character. Perfect. And now we can continue to upgrade our buildings. With that, we have used all of our income. So not really much we can do. Of course, the Bactrians over here, they're not going to be too happy with us. They're minus 153, so they're pretty hostile towards us. And we don't want them to get way too hostile, because they might break free if they become way too hostile. So I am going to save a little bit more money in the future in order to deal with them. So let's actually go ahead and start moving towards Knossos real quick. What we are going to do is we're going to go into these woodlands, go into an ambush stance, go ahead, stop our trade agreement with them, and we are going to declare war against them. Hopefully the Bactrians will join us. It's looking a little bit risky. They may not join this war against Knossos, so I don't think I should declare it just yet. Instead, what I am going to do is I'm going to simply wait a turn, and then in the next turn I am going to improve my relationships with the Bactrians and then declare war against the Norsen faction. Alright, so the Norsian faction has declared war against us, but they ran into an ambush, and we can simply just auto-resolve this one. It should be fairly easy auto-resolve. We should be able to wipe out a significant portion of the army. We're going to go ahead and slave all the captives. Thankfully the Bactrians joined the war on our side, which means that in the next turn we should have a significant advantage against the Norsian faction. So let's just wait over here for the next turn to load up. It's not going to take too long since we already are at the end turn. Unfortunately, the Lugos has also declared war against us. They're a pretty massive nation up in the north. They have in fact conquered a lot of the Pontic steppe. We're going to try our level best to see if we can piece them out. And they are on moderate, so okay, they have accepted. Meanwhile, with the Bosphorian kingdom, see if we can get a satrap established with them. And we're gonna offer payment. Unfortunately, they're not gonna accept that payment, so I guess the Bosphorian kingdom is gonna be wiped out. So we're gonna have to deal with that northern frontier soon enough. Meanwhile, over here, we can go ahead and lay siege to Knossos itself. We can attack this army. It's going to be an easy auto-resolve, 98%, perfect. We're going to go ahead and slave up all the captives, going to move our fleet really close towards Hierapetna to improve our auto-resolve chances. And then we are going to go ahead and attack Hierapetna. And we might lose some ships over here, but I don't really care. So just let's select our general that's attacking. Go ahead at 73%, that's pretty good. We haven't lost any units with the exception of some ships, so I don't really care about that. And we are going to peacefully occupy the settlement because it is of Hellenic culture. We have a lot of population class over here, so we're quickly just going to get into that patrol stance so that we can pretty much replenish as fast as we possibly can. Meanwhile, this character has leveled up, final level up for our faction leader, or faction heir rather, Antiochus II. Go ahead, give him some traits as well. We can upgrade the cavalry itself as well in both armies. We have quite a lot of money in our treasury. We're going to go ahead, turn off the taxation over here. We're going to keep this as a military recruitment province for now, because we want to focus on, of course, we want to focus on, let's go ahead and actually, you know what, I could actually make this into a massive research province. That might be good, but I'm going to keep it as a military/research province. That being said and done, we can recruit some ships as well, so let's go ahead and do that. In a couple of turns, this fleet should replenish, which means we can launch our invasion into Sparta. Quick look to see if we have any spies over here. This spy all the way down here is not doing much, so I'm going to start moving him all the way into the Hellenic mainland. Meanwhile, all the way over here in the east with Baktria, we can go ahead and start recruiting some more Cretan archers. So there we have it. We have 2 Cretan archers, which means we have 1 army completely leveled up. Let's go ahead, level up the champion within that army. Quickly go ahead and move this army towards Atracoana. We're going to focus on that secondary army, and in that secondary army we are going to focus on another Cretan archers. So things are looking quite good over here. We do have the late Greco-Bactrian assault infantry. Now these guys are pretty good in comparison to our Usenoi. So they actually might be worth getting, but the Usenoi have a really good melee defense. In terms of weapon damage, these guys have quite a lot of weapon damage and they're very good against elephant units. Armor wise, they're also better. Ammunition wise, we have more ammunition as the Turophora Usenoi. So it's really a tough choice between these 2 guys, to be honest, but I think these guys might be worth it. I guess for now I'm just going to leave it the way it is. Meanwhile, their Peltastays, we can compare them. The late Peltastay looking pretty good in terms of attack and defense. Missile damage is pretty high as well. I think what we can do is just keep our mouse over here. No, unfortunately we can't really compare. That's a real shame. Okay, so I'm not going to replace the Peltas. I'm not going to replace our melee troops. We're going to have a very quick look at the save game options. We're at turn 100. So in just about 20 turns, we should be able to access our Silver Shield swordsman. And of course, we are just 1 turn away over here from building up our royal stables, which means we can get access to even better elephants over here. So very quickly going to upgrade some of my buildings as well. Let's go ahead and do that. Nothing much to upgrade over there. We could upgrade some of those outposts, but I am trying to conserve as much money as I possibly can, and things are looking quite good. Meanwhile, over here I could build another temple, so let's go ahead and do that. But actually we can build a farm over here, which will give us a granary complex, which gives +3 food from farms, which is quite powerful. And yes, we want to keep upgrading a lot of our buildings. So as you can see, most of our buildings are upgraded, with the exception of course of our outposts. We want to focus on, of course, you know, getting some more of those elephants that we need. So we need 2 elephants over there, 2 elephants, so we need a total of 8 elephants. And we need a total of 12 cavalry. So it's close as close can be. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We need 9 cavalry because I believe this army has the cavalry already. So 9 cavalry, we're looking good there. What we need is 4 more elephants. And unfortunately, we have to wait another turn to build an elephant. Instead, what we can do is we can stop building one building, just one small building, like this one, so that we can get 1 more elephant in this turn, and then we can start reassigning these armies and kind of like fleshing them out a little bit. However, that being said and done, let's take a quick look to see over here. We can in fact even get access to the AOR Cretan archers, and these guys are not that good, to be honest. Their melee attack and melee defense is pretty low, so pretty happy with the mercenary variant. We're going to take a quick look at politics. Politics seems to be fine, so everything seems to be fine in this turn. Of course, we are still trying to convert this building into a stable so that we can eventually transfer it over to the Bactrians. What we could also end up doing is, if we're able to build an immigration building over here, we will get access to Mauryan tower elephants from the Bactrians. However, of course, we are going to subjugate the Mauryans as well, so we will get access to those elephants over there as well. Let's just keep moving our spies down south, further down south as much as possible. We are going to go ahead and just deploy over here, get a line of sight of what's going on with the Mauryans. They are moving an army closer towards Frada. Frada has decent defense. In about 6 turns we should be in a very good position to defend Frada and even Bam from the Mauryans. Keep in mind the Mauryans, while they do have elephants, we will have hoplites to defend the settlement, so it's not going to be all that difficult. What we are going to try to do is keep sabotaging this army so it can't really move around all that much, but I'm pretty happy with how things are right now. So I am going to go ahead and end the turn. And what we can do actually is we can actually get rid of these elephant units, because we are going to focus on getting getting the Syrian war elephants instead. So we get rid of these elephants, and then we're going to go ahead, end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn. Alright, welcome to the future. Daughter has come of age, political intrigue, character has increased in rank, and we got a new character in the game. That is Seleucids III, so we are going to adopt him. Let's see what he has. Okay, pretty good stats. And we are going to adopt him through Antiochus II. And there we go. Seleucids III is now part of our faction. What we are going to do is we are going to get rid of this gravitas ability. Go ahead, give it to Seleucids. We can also give him some more gravitas. Perfect, and he should be able to get married in the next turn. Apart from that, the characters who have leveled up, we need to improve them as well. So let us actually focus on public order as well as some commercial stimulation edict. Quick look at our economy. As you can see, we have 55,000 denarii in the bank. We're making 52,000 denarii per turn. Egyptos and Asia making around 65,000 denarii per turn. We are in the process of completely upgrading Asia, and Asia should be actually really powerful after this. Quick look at all of our provinces. As you can see, we have quite a lot of buildings to level up, but not that many. Most of them are in the process of being leveled up, and pretty much the situation right now is that we have moved our armies all the way to the east, a lot of them moving across to the east, because we are trying to give them some of those Bactrian Cretan settlers, which are basically Cretan archers, that are much better than the mercenary variants in my opinion. Meanwhile, we have moved most of our armies down to the south in a bid to attack the Mauryans. So we are most probably going to try to subjugate them over here. So very quickly, let's just move another army down here in the south. Excellent. I'm pretty happy with that. And we can move this army as well over here. And in the next turn, we should be able to attack the Mauryans. So things are looking quite good over there. Let's see if we can marry off any of our characters. Can't marry off that character over there. We don't want to marry our adopted lineage. We can go ahead and marry this character over here, and it's a pretty good person for a fleet. So what are we going to do is we're actually going to replace the admiral over here with that character over there, and there we go. He should have the fleet maintenance. Where is it? Let's have a look over here. Yes, he does have that fleet maintenance. -20 upkeep for all ships is pretty powerful. Let's see if we can actually top that. No, we cannot. I'm guessing one of these abilities should give me... Alright, the movement range is pretty good as an admiral. We can get the public order as well as the campaign range movement. Meanwhile, all the way in the west, we have our two armies ready to invade Sparta. Of course, we are going to be a little bit careful. We are just going to wait on the east coast of the Peloponnese, and in the next turn we are going to launch our invasion of the Peloponnese itself, and we are going to take out the Spartan faction. Of course, we have a firm grip over Crete as of now, and we are looking to upgrade some other buildings as well. Pretty happy with all of the buildings over here. Let's go upgrade mainly our temples. They are the cheapest buildings that we can upgrade, so I'm pretty happy with that. We can even upgrade our supply pit, but that is a little bit too expensive. Let's go ahead, upgrade these temples over here, and with that we have used all of our income. Soon enough, once all of these buildings are upgraded over here in Asia as well as in Egyptos, we will be making a lot of money. In fact, in the very next turn, Egyptos will get all of its maximum main settlement buildings, and the income will increase drastically. That being said and done, I am going to go ahead, end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn. What we have to do before that, however, is see if we can get any more Cretan archers over here. We can, so we need to stop the building of a of something over here. So let's see if we can get rid of some of the temples that we recently built up, and then we are going to get those Cretan archers. So right now we have about 8 Cretan archers, which means we can start moving westwards, try to link up with these armies and try to hand over those Cretan archers. Meanwhile, we are going to go ahead and disband the Syrian war elephants. We don't really need them because we are going to replace them with the far superior Mauryan tower elephants. So definitely going to disband all of those units. Alright, welcome to the next turn. We have completed animal husbandry as a technology. We have stopped in the construction line. We have just the monumental architecture remaining. We are focusing on animal husbandry because we want to be able to upgrade our our limited warhorse breeding over here so that we can get the maximum bonus for the cavalry charge upon recruitment. So that's basically what we're going to do over here. Meanwhile, we're moving all of our armies into different settlements so that they can pretty much just get some experience, as well as, of course, we can also just get a little bit of transferring over these Cretan archers, which are amazing. Meanwhile, we can go ahead and attack the Mauryan faction right now. What we want to do is we want to move up our armies really close so we get a really good auto-resolve. Meanwhile, over here we can see if we can get this auto-resolve as well. Hopefully the Bactrians join us. Perfect. We are going to take quite a bit of casualties. It's going to be a Pyrrhic victory. We lost a Silver Shield Pikeman, but that's nothing to worry about. What we are going to do is we are going to peacefully occupy this settlement. Then we are going to attack Pura as well. It's pretty good auto-resolve. There we go. Go ahead, auto-resolve them. Subjugate these guys. And now we have the Mauryans as our satrapy. Meanwhile, the Bactrians, very friendly with us. We managed to improve their relationships with us. We are going to try to do the same with the Mauryans. Get some payments off them in order to establish a trade agreement. And there we have it. Now we're going to pay them a little bit to kind of improve their opinion of us. So it's still at minus 373, which is quite a lot. We're going to spend all of our money over here to improve as much as we possibly can the relationship with the Mauryan faction. Hopefully this doesn't make Baktria hate us, and it's not, I think. There we go. Alright. And we are going to keep improving the relationships. We can do it about 3 more times. So let's actually go ahead and do that. Excellent. And the final time we're going to do it. Here we go. Improve that. And just a quick look to see the Mauryan faction and how they kind of like us. Okay, Petra doesn't really like us. The Mauryan factions, improved quite significantly their opinion of us. So as you can see, we can start to recruit some elephants now, which is great news. We're gonna get out over here, and pretty much we're gonna transfer over Aurea to the Mauryans, and we'll go ahead, select it this way, select Pura. Go ahead, give Pura to the Mauryans. And once we complete building these 2 buildings, we're gonna give even Frada to the Mauryans. And so there you have it. We have managed to completely conquer the Mauryans. We're gonna go ahead and disband these elephant units. We don't need them anymore. Meanwhile, we're gonna try to move as many of our armies close by to get the elephant units that we need from the Mauryans. So we should have a pretty formidable army composition now. We will have Mauryan tower elephants as well as Bactrian Cretan settlers in our army, so that is really good. Meanwhile, some pirates have spawned over here, so that's not really ideal. We're still trying to get that final level of building over here because soon enough we are going to have Antiochus III spawn by around the time of the Thurios reforms. However, that being said and done, I think it is time to attack Sparta. What we are going to do is we are going to besiege the settlement. Sorry, I kind of selected the fleet, so yes, here we go. Gonna besiege the settlement with our faction leader, and then we are going to attack this army out here. Should retreat, which is great. This army could end up becoming the new general. Instead, what we are going to do is we're going to try to assassinate this character. We have a 23% chance of doing it. Manage to assassinate him, which means we can declare war against these Spartans. Pretty good army. We're going to fight this battle. We're going to fight it with, of course, our faction leader, Antiochus Sota. And we're going to turn off the large army. Keep in mind, we did this in the last episode, so we only have to fight these Spartans and not the garrison. And if we defeat this Spartan army, then we will also defeat the garrison and we will occupy the settlement. However, the annoying part of fighting this battle is that most likely they're going to have some, deployables, which is going to be a little bit annoying. However, without any further ado, quick save over here, hop into the battle, and I will see you all in the final battle of this episode. Alright, welcome to the final battle of this episode. It's against the Spartans, and of course the Spartans have been led by their king, I believe. And should actually tell me his name, but it's not, so I guess it's just a normal general. Of course we have the Spartan army, not yet updated, I believe. Yep, they are not yet updated in Izuru Alexander's mod, although it does seem like some of their units and their shields have been updated, which is kind of nice. I actually think they have been updated. However, he has gone for a very versatile look with the general's bodyguard, which is kind of nice. I kind of like it. Previously it was all just Corinthian helmets, but now he has a good mix of helmets and a good mix of armor as well. And of course they do have the advantage. They do have deployables, which they have gone ahead and deployed, and of course they do have the high ground. But we are the mighty Seleucid Empire, so we have nothing to fear. We have our famous silver shield pikemen that are marching forward, really beautiful looking, especially with the Izuru Alexander's submod, as you can tell. Really loving that shield over there. And a really beautiful shield. Loving the blue and the red colors, as well as the Seleucid logo. However, over here we have the Hyperphiste, which are really good hoplites, almost as good as the Spartan general's bodyguard. The only difference being is these guys are 200 men strong versus the Royal Spartans, who are 300 men strong. The Spartans do not have a lot of amazing support troops. They do have some, Attic Peltaste, as well as they do have some Helot slingers, which are actually horrible. Meanwhile, they do have a lot of first class missile cavalry, which is not a really good buy for the Spartans, because you're using up your expensive first class population and getting a very mediocre unit, in fact below average unit. However, they are going to be a bit of a nuisance in this battle, because we do not have a lot of units that can deal with horse skirmisher types, be it horse archer or even horse javelin men, I guess, or horse skirmishers. Meanwhile, you can see the Spartans are taking the advantageous high ground, but that's not going to save them. We are slowly but surely moving our army forward, and we're getting into that position, slowly just moving up. Do we really need to go in an oblique order in this battle? It would be nice, however it's not all that necessary, because of course Spartans really have gone heavy on that skirmishing. As you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 skirmishers over here. So pretty much 50% of their army skirmishers, which means the remaining 50% is melee units, so we're not really under the threat of being outflanked. What we really need to be is really open to maneuvering, and of course, since we are going to be pelted by a lot of skirmishing fire over here, it might actually make sense to get into phalanx formation, because that does offer a little bit of missile protection. Meanwhile, our own Cretan archers have gone ahead and open fired against one of the Spartan horse skirmishers, and of course they are completely taken out of the combat. Meanwhile, realizing that the Spartans are completely up on that hill, I am quickly moving our units to reposition, realign to face that Spartan army. Meanwhile, our own Cretan archers are going to keep pelting against these enemy cavalry, and we're pretty much almost done dispatching another enemy cavalry unit. And this is how you kind of deal with units that you don't have any obvious answer to. You want to deal with them asymmetrically, like I did in this case. I don't have any horse skirmishers of my own. I don't have any cavalry that's quick enough to catch up to these lightly armored horsemen. So I am using my Cretan archers that are absolutely amazing. And once I'm done with that, then I pretty much focus on the next unit. Now this unit over here is Tarentine cavalry. They're a little bit better armored, and of course they are facing us with their shielded side, which means they're not going to be taking too many losses from that missile fire, unfortunately. But I don't really care. I am pretty much okay with just making sure that I deal as much damage as I can, at least to significantly impact their morale. And as you can tell, they are taking quite a bit of casualties right now. And hopefully this will kind of trigger them to move a little and expose themselves to me. But there you have it. They are wavering. They are going to get routed out of the battlefield. And of course they're going to move, which means they're going to get completely shattered. We are going to see if we are going to use our missile units to target another unit. Of course we have quite a lot of missile units over here that are busy attacking our front lines, and of course dealing some significant casualties to our front line. What I really want is for the Spartans to walk into their own deployables, but it doesn't seem like they'll do it. Meanwhile, our Syrian elephants over here just firing some shots into this unit that is kind of lit up over here. So I'm not too keen on attacking them just yet. I'm kind of waiting for this trap to completely exhaust itself, and then I will charge, and I should have a pretty significant advantage on that left flank. As you can tell, we have a lot of support troops on that left flank, and we have a long way to move around the entire traps and pin down the enemy once we can do so. Meanwhile, our Cretan archers, we are slowly but surely reassigning them to attack, and as you can tell, we have just assigned one unit, which probably means the other units have been depleted of their ammunition. So with this one unit, we are going to try to attack them. However, I realize that I'm not ready to sit back and take any more losses, so I am going to take the fight uphill to the Spartans. Of course, we have this Spartan general bodyguard in the middle, and we are slowly but surely, after forming that phalanx formation, unfortunately we're going to be taking quite a lot of damage. We're going to keep running up as quickly as we possibly can, and there are two reasons to run up. It is dangerous because we don't have our pikes down, which means the enemy can counter charges. However, we managed to get our pikes down at precisely the right moment. But the main reason I did this was to kind of push back some of their skirmisher units so that I can go ahead and begin to try to take them out. However, over here on the right flank, things are looking a little bit sketchy because, of course, the Spartans are able to surround us. So we have to kind of get our support troops over there to deal with those Spartan units. Meanwhile, in the center, I'm pretty happy. Of course, the general has engaged us fighting. They do have the advantage of being uphill, but we do have the advantage of reach. However, regardless, they have managed to push a little bit into our units, and they're getting pretty close. And this unit is taking quite a bit of losses. We're almost down to 50% unit strength. However, in the remainder of the battle, we're looking quite good. And of course, we have a lot more Homoioi hoplite charge into our pikemen. It's not going to be an easy battle. It's all uphill, of course, as you can tell. And of course, looking really beautiful with that HD. Really loving this HD mod. And of course, you have a lot of the pikemen attacking and attacking. Skiritai swordsmen are not going to do well against the pikemen. And of course, as you can tell, I think they are retreating. Nope, they are not. Meanwhile, the Spartan general is started to take some losses, and that's basically what it is with hoplite versus pikemen. Initially, you might not see a lot of casualties, but once the casualties open up, or once the floodgate opens up, then you will see quite a lot of casualties happening quite quickly. As you can tell, they are losing about a man per second, and of course, as soon as they lose men, the way the mechanic works is that the dead men over here have to be replaced by men that are going to march into position. So there might be a little bit of hiccups during that steady decline, but eventually, like as you can tell over here, they're stuck at 240, but then once again it starts dropping until it reaches that next point. And realizing that they're not really winning the situation, they have decided to pull out. However, on the right flank, that's where things are getting interesting. We have committed all of our units to preventing that flank from happening. Meanwhile, on the left flank, we have charged into this unit with our own elephant units. Of course, these are Homoioi hoplite, which means they're pretty elite, but of course our elephant units are going to do quite well against them. We have taken a couple of casualties, however, and of course the Homoioi did fight quite well against us and quite heroically to take down a couple of elephant units. Really is nothing to scoff at, especially if you're a single unit of hoplite. And now that we have managed to encircle the enemy over here on that left flank, which is kind of what I predicted, we are going to go ahead and charge into the enemy missile units. And the missile units should not be able to deal with us. Meanwhile, they have decided to reinforce their missile units with some Skiritai swordsmen. The Skiritai swordsmen do not have any advantage versus cavalry. They are some of my favorite units in the Spartan roster, especially because they have that stalk ability, which allows them to kind of snipe walled enemy settlements. However, they're not going to be too good against cavalrymen. As you can tell, our front line is doing quite well. We have managed to get rid of some of these Spartan units. A Phalangite unit over here has taken some significant casualties. We are about below 50% unit strength. I would say about 25% in fact. However, we still have the advantage. We are against hoplite units. The only drawback is that we are fighting uphill, so it's not going to be an easy engagement whatsoever. And of course, we have another pike unit over here, or hoplite unit, that has taken quite a lot of damage. Now this hoplite unit is going to be at a significant disadvantage because it doesn't have the reach advantage, and right now, of course, it is also fighting uphill, so things are not looking good. Meanwhile, the rest of our entire front line is kind of free, so I kind of, if I remember correctly, I kind of reassign them to form up behind this failing front and then move forward into the enemy pike units or hoplite units. That being said and done, we have managed to get a breakthrough on that right flank as well. Our Syrian elephants have managed to move in past the enemy left. So what we are going to do is, we just have about 2.5 minutes left for the battle. But what we really need to do is kind of try to dispatch as many of these enemy units as we possibly can, as quickly as we possibly can, because this front line is not going to last much longer. However, there's nothing much to see here. The battle just slows down into a slow grind, so I am going to go ahead forward a little bit into the future of this battle when we are ready to kind of win the battle. There you have it, we're in the future. It's just about 1 minute left for the battle. Nothing much happened actually, when I fast forwarded. However, we have managed to clean up some of the, fleeing enemy units, and of course, some of the units in the front line are wavering. Unfortunately, I did not reorganize my front line to re-engage the enemy and try to gain that advantage. Really not much happening over here. Meanwhile, my generals bogged down managed to perform a rear charge against a unit of Homoioi hoplite, which is kind of good because if we break them, then we have a free general. It seems for now I've had enough of this battle, so I have decided to use my elephants, trying to move them across to charge into the enemy general. So let's quickly have a look at that. It's going to be a beautiful charge over here. Really bad with the Rome 2 camera angles. However, there you have it. It's a massive charge and it is downhill charge. And of course the enemy general is getting absolutely thrown about. Of course we're losing a bit more elephant units because we are charging into a very elite hoplite unit. And with the enemy general killed, of course the entire Spartan army is breaking. And with that we have won the battle. So we should have wiped out the Spartan faction. And that being said and done, let us move back into the campaign. Alright, with that we have managed to conquer Sparta. Down goes the Spartan army. We have managed to assassinate the leader of that army, so once we occupy the settlement, Sparta should be wiped out from the game. As you can see, that is absolutely fantastic. We can go ahead and re-recruit that unit we just lost, and we can go ahead and convert that building. Meanwhile, dismantle the other building. See over here, we cannot really build up any other building in Sparta because it is locked for that faction. I'm really liking this helmet over here. It's kind of like an Alexandrian cataphract kind of a helmet, to be honest. And let's take a very quick look at all of our provinces. Things are looking good. We can go ahead and upgrade over here. Let's have a very quick look. We don't have a lot of money remaining, but we are going to try our level best to quickly try to recruit as many elephants as we possibly can from the Mauryans, of course. And apart from that, we have managed to secure the Bactrians as well. We're in the process of securing up the Mauryans. We have 4 armies in the east. Other 4 armies currently in Partava will march all the way back to the west and assist in the future with the invasion of our Hellenic homeland, take it over from the Antagonids, and be the last remaining Diadochi in the game. However, that being said and done, I hope you all enjoyed the campaign. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and if you liked the video, then like the video and don't forget to subscribe if you are interested for more. Peace and love.